Once again, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the City of Kitchener 2015 State of Our City Address. My name is Jeff Wilmer. I'm CAO with the City of Kitchener, and it's a pleasure to see all of you here this morning. This morning's address was planned to be broadcast on Rogers TV. We're not sure that they've got the right time and location, but we had some fail-safes here. CBC Radio is also going to be live streaming the audio of today's address, and Conestoga College is recording it so that we'll be able to post it on the city's YouTube channel going forward. It's a real pleasure to have all of you with us here today, and I'd like to take a moment to recognize the elected officials who have joined us today. We have Member of Provincial Parliament representing Kitchener-Waterloo, Diane Vernile, and actually would ask you to hold your applause until we've gone through the whole list, because I know there will be thunderous applause. MPP Diane Vernile is here. Waterloo Region Chair Ken Sealing. And if you want to take a moment to stand and wave, people will know that you're here. Cambridge Mayor Doug Craig. Waterloo Mayor Dave Jaworski. Region of Waterloo Councillors Tom Galloway, Karen Redman, and Wayne Wetlaufer. Waterloo Catholic District School Board representatives, Board Chair Manuel de Silva, Student Trustee Karen Hakim, and Trustees Bill Conway and Brian Schmaltz. Representing Waterloo Region District School Board, Board Chair Kathleen Woodcock. And all the members of City of Kitchener Council, most of whom are here today, Scott Davey, Dave Schneider, John Gazzola, Yvonne Fernandez, Kelly Galloway-Seelock, Paul Singh, Bill Ioannidis, Zig Yanetsky, Frank Etherington, and Sarah Marsh, our elected officials. So you're here today in Kitchener's new Central Library, newly expanded and renovated, and we're really proud of this facility and all our facilities. So the mayor's inspiration was, let's move this event around. Traditionally, it has been held at City Hall, but this year's a bit of an experiment, and I heard a number of people comment it's their first time in the new facility, and they're thrilled to see the great investment that the library has made in making this a welcoming place. I can't believe it when I was saying that people are allowed to take their food and beverages into the rest of the library. That seems so... I had this guilty conscience when I was announcing that. But we wanted to highlight this amazing venue, and it's our hope that this is a good experiment that we can highlight different venues from year to year. We realize that the stand-up forum for breakfast might not have been ideal, but I think on balance we're really pleased that we were able to showcase this great facility. As in previous years, this breakfast is a charitable event, and the proceeds directly benefit our community through the work of the Kitchener and Waterloo Community Foundation. You're no doubt familiar with much of the work that the Community Foundation does. It's responsible for our annual Vital Signs report, taking the pulse of this community. And this year, the focus is on belonging and on working together to improve the sense of belonging in our community. And now for the main event. It's my great pleasure to introduce somebody that I've worked with for many years, somebody I respect greatly, and somebody who this year is taking their career to a whole higher level. Of course, I'm talking about Sonya Lewis. Sonya is taking her career to a whole higher level this year as she plans to retire in about a month or so. Sonya is a person who has a vision and makes sure that it gets implemented, and the Central Library project is a great example of that. She's passionate about the library and the role that it plays in the community, and is a passionate collaborator and has built and developed relationships with community partners and with other libraries. And I think probably most importantly, she's a strong leader who leads by example, and she's somebody who brings her sense of humor to the workplace, and that has made Kitchener Public Library a great place to work, and Sonya a great person to collaborate with. Ladies and gentlemen, Sonya Lewis.
Yeah, just for the record, it's early retirement. Thank you, Jeff, and welcome everyone to Central Library. What do you think about your Central Library? It's my great pleasure this morning to introduce Mayor Vrbanovic's first State of Our City address this morning, and we are delighted that he has chosen Central Library as the first venue outside of City Hall to host the event. For those who haven't been to Central Library since the opening of the expansion last year, I'm sure you noticed quite a change. The expansion added a lot of new features to the library, including a wonderful two-story atrium flooded with natural light, Flux, that spectacular art installation reminiscent of book pages scattered in the air, or overdue notices, as one person commented. An expanded reading lounge where we met this morning, and laptop bar overlooking Queen Street, and coming soon, a cafe. A new children's library, a multimedia resource center, a digital media lab with 3D printer, and this beautiful refurbished 200-seat theater, and much, much more. So without giving too much away, I must say Central Library is a perfect location for what Mayor Vrbanovic will be talking about this morning. Libraries move people forward. So do cities. Libraries store the energy that fuels the imagination. They open up windows to the world and inspire us to explore and achieve. They contribute to improving our quality of life. Libraries change lives for the better. Cities change lives for the better. And in turn, each of us has the power to change our cities for the better as well. With all of our technology today, some still question the importance of libraries in the 21st century. But Kitchener Public Library, with our 4 neighborhood branches, is a great example of how a library builds a city. Kitchener Public Library brings people together in branches that have become important to the identity of their neighborhoods. It educates people and strengthens the surrounding neighborhoods and Kitchener as a whole. It fosters a thoughtful city and champions our cultural life. It's a trusted repository of knowledge and an accessible place where people from all walks of life, young and old, can connect, collaborate, explore, and imagine. We spent much of the past decade planning and building the revitalized Central Library. It was a complex project which married the past of an existing building with its future. In fact, it was a little like building a city. It takes time, patience, and perseverance. And there needs to be a vision for the future that remembers and builds on the past. We don't see the results of all our efforts overnight, and the city gets built bit by bit through collaboration and working together. And on that note, it's my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Berry Vrbanovic to present the 2015 State of Our City Address.
Good morning and welcome, everyone, and thank you, Sonya, for that very kind introduction. For those of you who don't know, you can often find Sonya here at 7 or 8 in the evening, but 7 or 8 in the morning isn't always her favorite time. So I knew that when we came and suggested, how about we do the library, her first question was, what time of day is it going to be? And then the cringe, and then, but we can make this happen, and I really appreciate that. You know, part of the reason we picked the library was because we wanted to showcase this incredible facility, but I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank Sonya for her many years of dedicated service to the city and to the Kitchener Public Library. She joined us in August 2004, and when you look at what's been achieved in this library network, including this new central branch, it's absolutely amazing. And so, Sonya, on behalf of the community, thank you as you finish up over the next couple of months, and best wishes in your retirement. And so I don't forget at the end, I also want to thank all of the KPL staff who probably had to have their arms twisted a little bit around all the food and drink and everything else in the room, and to be here. I wanted to thank them, as well as thank our City of Kitchener staff, without whom this event wouldn't be possible. So a heartfelt thank you to everyone on that front. Bold, proactive, and positive leadership is what's required to build a great city. This is as true for Kitchener as it is anywhere else. Local governments that simply take a passive role on the sidelines while wishing for a better city are simply not going to make it happen. City building is about making smart and strategic investments into the community that will benefit all of our residents and all of our neighborhoods. But city building is about more than just counting pennies and building more roads. It's about creating awesome, dynamic, and inclusive places and spaces where people can live, work, and play. This morning, I'd like to spend some time with you talking about city building and the journey we're all on together to build a better Kitchener. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us this morning for this State of Our City address. On behalf of Kitchener City Council, it's my pleasure to welcome you here. It's an added pleasure to be sharing this address with you today for the first time as your mayor. The past 4 months have been filled with many firsts, and today is no different. It is indeed an honor to be speaking to you today and to be joined by a number of elected officials, as well as Kitchener's longest-serving mayor, Carl Zaire. And he's at the back of the room. You can catch him on your way out. With a new mayor also comes a new location for this year's event. We're fortunate to have so many wonderful community amenities in Kitchener, and I think it's time that we showcase them. Beginning this year, we'll be moving the State of Our City event to different locations throughout our community. The Kitchener Public Library Central Branch is a great place to start. It's where I got my start in public service as a student. And the opening of its expansion last year also marked a significant investment in our people and creating great places for them. That's the risk when you work at a library. They keep stuff like that in the archives. And libraries, known as the great social equalizer, are full of ideas, so we find ourselves in the perfect setting to discuss all that our city is and all that we're capable of building when we're at our very best. I've been talking a lot in recent months about continuing to build a better Kitchener, for now and for the generations to come. As I look around this room, I have to admit, there are people who are better at building homes or new companies than I am. But while I may not be great with power tools, after 20 years on City Council, I've learned a little bit about building a city. One of the most important things I've learned is, as this is not something we do alone as community leaders or as a City Council, we are all city builders. Each one of us, no matter what our job is or where in the city we live, is contributing to building our city every day. Because city building is in actions great and small, from playing at the Honer Avenue porch party to playing in the KW Symphony, from planning a neighborhood barbecue to designing a brand new neighborhood, from launching the next great startup out of your basement to being CEO at one of Kitchener's many long-standing businesses. With our every action, individually and together, we determine the kind of city we are building. I challenge each of you to remember that when you leave here today, it has the power to change you and what you do, and it has the power to change our city. 4 years ago, His Excellency Governor General David Johnston articulated his vision for building a smart and caring nation. That vision appeals to the best in us and has always resonated with me. I've often thought about how we're continuing his legacy by building a smart and caring city, as citizens, as community leaders, as City Council, as city builders. Together, we have been building a smart and caring city. We've been doing it for generations, and we're not about to rest on our laurels. Today, we're doing this in a myriad of ways, by building strong neighborhoods, by innovating and growing our economy, by supporting and involving our citizens, and through strong local government. When you think about city building, you probably think about putting up new buildings, economic development initiatives, or developing more infrastructure to accommodate growth. Those things are important, but they don't paint the whole picture. City building is also about placemaking, about creating more meaningful and memorable places and spaces and a more diverse, interesting, and sustainable city. It's about creating a sense of belonging, of home, of community spirit and pride for our citizens. And it starts in our neighborhoods. They're the building blocks of our smart and caring city. While innovations in technology and social media make it easier than ever to connect without leaving home, and we often hear about cities having reputations as places where people don't know their neighbors, Kitchener is getting more and more connected. We're building on a long history of helping to plan, build, and support safe and thriving neighborhoods. Unlike almost any other city in Canada, over the years, Kitchener has proactively built a network of 14 community centers located throughout our city. These centers, programmed largely by our incredibly dedicated neighborhood association volunteers, define us as a community and play an immeasurable role in the quality of life of our residents. For more than 20 years, Kitchener's Festival of Neighborhoods program has been building connections, celebrating neighborhoods, and building community spirit and pride. I'm pleased that by doubling our capital grant to this festival in recent years, we're helping them do even more amazing things. Picnics, park cleanups, Jane's walks, Kitchener neighborhoods never cease to amaze us with the many ways they find to connect everyone. In addition to doubling the Festival of Neighborhoods grant, the city has also recently partnered with the United Way to create a new Neighborhood Matching Fund grant. The United Way was committed to matching the city's $30,000 investment, dollar for dollar, over the next 3 years so that together we can support even more grassroots placemaking that helps improve the overall quality of life in our neighborhoods. And let's not forget about Neighbors' Day. That's right, in Kitchener we think so much of our neighbors that in 2015 they get their own special day. Neighbors' Day, as you may have heard, is a new annual celebration that is intended to bring people together to celebrate our unique neighborhoods and showcase our many city facilities. Planning is still underway, but stay tuned for what's in store on June 13th. Our many city facilities will be open and brimming with family activities, and we hope the whole city will celebrate with us. I'm pleased that as we plan Neighbors' Day, we're working closely with the United Way to support their annual Day of Caring, so that we have 2 awesome community festivals focused on celebrating our neighborhoods. When I think about specific examples of creating a place where neighbors meet and feel welcome, I think of Ward 6, Paul Singh's neighborhood. And when I say it's Paul's neighborhood, I really mean that. Paul grew up, went to public school, and bought his first house in Ward 6. And so he's very passionate about creating great events that see families and neighbors spending time together and getting to know one another. His popular Ward 6 movie night has been so effective that we're looking to expand it into other neighborhoods this summer. The list of great things happening in our neighborhoods is quite literally endless. As we look to build on this momentum, Council has initiated plans to develop our first ever neighborhood strategy. This marks the first time that we'll take a comprehensive approach to all of the elements of our neighborhoods and the extensive work of our community partners and volunteers so that we can better coordinate, leverage, and support everything that's happening in our neighborhoods. I look forward to involving as many people as possible from across our city in developing Kitchener's neighborhood strategy in the coming months. Remember, we are all city builders. Who better to prioritize the actions that should be taken in your unique neighborhood than you, the people who live there? I hope you'll join us as we begin the conversations that will result in your neighborhood's first action plan. While we're fortunate to have so many neighborhood success stories already, like anything else, building strong neighborhoods is not without challenge, and it's certainly not without change. In recent years, Kitchener has undergone substantial change as we continue down the road of revitalization, reinvestment, and renewal. Naturally, our neighborhoods have begun to change too. Some newer areas, like the Southwest District and Councillor Kelly Galloway-Seelock's Ward 5, are growing steadily. For years, Kelly has been a strong advocate for developing a new Southwest District park, and we've both been vocal about how these new recreational amenities are long overdue for this fast-growing part of our city. Just recently, Kelly's leadership on this saw an $8.6 million investment in this new park added to the 2015 budget. The first sport fields are expected to open in 2017. Recognizing that parks are an incredibly important part of building a smart and caring city, I've also been advocating for advancing the development of a new Grand River Park for the past several years. I was very pleased that during our recent budget deliberations, Council agreed to set aside additional money and look at how we can make this new park, which will preserve green space along a designated Canadian Heritage River, a reality sooner. The reality in the Dune South area of Kitchener is another challenging example of a neighborhood that is evolving. As Conestoga College continues to grow, the neighborhood is seeing some challenges arising from the need for more student housing. I believe it's important that we address this issue, and I look forward to working with Councillor Yvonne Fernandez to build connections and collaborations between residents, landlords, and the college on solutions to student accommodations. In other areas of the city, we see challenges with residential infill, the development of brand new housing in already established neighborhoods. As a city councillor, as a candidate in the recent municipal election, and now as your mayor, I've been leading the charge to create new residential infill guidelines and requirements to more effectively engage residents about their input and ideas for residential intensification. With more than 20 years' experience as a city planner, Ward 8 Councillor Zig Yanetsky has also been a passionate advocate of ensuring that good planning is a priority. Zig and I both know that these guidelines won't solve all of our challenges, but they will help ensure that new developments complement and strengthen our neighborhoods, not weaken them. Closer to our city center, we start to hear talk of gentrification, of urban renewal of some of our older places and spaces that makes way for a future of improved market conditions, new uses, and refreshed neighborhoods. We know you don't build a smart and caring city at anyone's expense. This is a smart and caring city for everyone. I don't have all the answers to this growing urban phenomenon, but I would challenge us all as city builders to think differently about it, to think about the concept of shared neighborhoods and find new tools and approaches that help us continue to build our smart and caring city. We can think differently. There is no doubt about that. When it comes to innovation, generations of Kitchener's dreamers and doers have built our legacy as a resourceful and inventive city that doesn't simply wait for the future to happen. For example, over the next 24 months, our downtown will probably see the greatest changes since it was originally built, with the addition of 2 new condominium projects, Google's new 160,000 square foot home, the new underpass planned for King Street, underground infrastructure improvements, and the construction of ION. We're literally building the connections to our future, laying the groundwork today for LRT, GO, and potentially high-speed rail, because they're game changers for our city, our region, and beyond. These important new transit solutions will connect our cities and reduce traffic congestion, commuter costs, and the impact of cars on our environment. Even more importantly, this kind of visionary city building positions Kitchener, our region, and our province to compete with the world's leading innovation centers. Kitchener will continue to build our city's success by joining forces with municipal partners within Canada's innovation supercluster to create a globally competitive innovation cluster comparable to California's Silicon Valley. And will continue to create a more livable city that is a magnet for the skilled dreamers and doers, the knowledge workers and creative talent that we need to support our businesses. Down the road, it may mean making investments that don't resonate with everyone. For example, attracting and retaining those skilled dreamers and doers isn't just about getting around. It takes a vibrant arts and culture scene, and supporting and sustaining that scene requires investment. While it's often seen as a nice-to-have, arts and culture are absolutely critical to the city we're building. And it will come down to Council making the right decision about the mandate for Centre in the Square on Monday night. This decision, and those we make in the months and years ahead, will have a substantial impact not only on the future success of the Centre, but on the future success of our city. It will take the kind of unwavering vision that Ward 7 Councillor Bill Ioannidis has about the impact digital media and music can have on our local economy. You'll recall that Bill was instrumental in bringing Big Music Fest to Kitchener. It wasn't universally embraced in our city initially, but in its first year, it drew 50,000 people from around the world and created a $7 million boost to the local economy. This year, it will grow to a 7-day event with shows in the suburbs and in our city core. It will also take the kind of vision that Ward 1 Councillor Scott Davey has for the role that technology and innovation can play in creating efficiencies and better service for citizens. Scott's passion and vision for putting Wi-Fi and high-speed fiber networks in key areas of the city has the potential to make Kitchener one of Canada's most technologically advanced cities. These are just some of the initiatives that will be considered within our new Digital Kitchener strategy that we're starting to work on in the days ahead. We're envied as a Canadian city for more than just our ability to innovate. We're envied for reimagining and reinventing our economy in recent years in a way no other Canadian city has done. We saw the writing on the wall and proactively rewrote our story. We reimagined Kitchener by diversifying our economy and focusing on our many strengths, including financial services and education. And then we made it so. Imagine a city focused on building a robust local economy by enabling a strong class of startups and growth ventures built by innovative entrepreneurs. A city focused on creating an ecosystem that enables taking innovative ideas to market, creates jobs, nurtures talent, builds wealth, and invests capital back into the ecosystem. Imagine a city that quite literally nurtures those sparks of genius, those rare aha moments that create legends and change the world. For example, Startup City has literally come alive in Kitchener. Last year's $1 million landing pad grants program is now facilitating the transformation of once vacant upper stories in the core into contemporary new startup spaces. And what started as our warehouse district has now become our innovation district, one of the province's premier multidisciplinary centers of innovation. But then, imagine a city that even in the midst of this innovation evolution doesn't forget where it came from. A city that embraces its past and does all it can to help the region's traditional industries transform and succeed in the economy of tomorrow. You don't even have to imagine this stuff. This is the smart and caring city we're building. Still, some think that our successes mean that our work is done, but continued focus on our economy, talent attraction, and quality of life is more important than ever. We'll stay on the right track this year with the development of a refreshed 5-year Kitchener Economic Development Strategy, or KEDS 2, that will drive the continued growth and diversification of our local economy, building on our legacy of industry, innovation, and investment. We're going to work together with our local partners to keep Waterloo Region's economy strong too. We don't need to compete against each other for business. We've already seen the success we can have when working together. It's not at all unusual to see businesses move between our partner cities. Just recently, Haru DevTech needed to expand and build a new, larger facility in Cambridge, where the needed land was available. Stantec will soon be moving out of downtown Kitchener to a new, larger home in Waterloo. A few years ago, Google moved its offices from Waterloo to the Tannery in Kitchener's Innovation District. This fall, they will open a new 160,000 square foot facility that has room for more than 1,000 employees. These are the business decisions that make sense for these firms, and they're good news when we consider them in the context of what's good for Waterloo Region. Keeping jobs and taxes here is a good thing. Still, as the economic landscape across the country continues to evolve, sometimes difficult business decisions are made that mean businesses and jobs must leave our community. I think about the recent Schneider's plant closing. Schneider's was one of the large traditional manufacturers in our city and has been one of the backbones of our local manufacturing sector for more than 125 years. Without question, its closing was difficult for the community and former employees and their families. But there is no doubt that our city has shown its ability to be resilient and adaptable in the face of changes like these. As our manufacturing economy continues to shift, we're shifting our focus with it to areas like advanced manufacturing. the rich manufacturing heritage that made us famous for our tires, boots, shirts, and furniture has given way to the development and use of robust robotics, automation, and information technologies within a myriad of globally competitive local companies. Think Myovision, ClearPath, Vidyard, and Thalmic Labs. Think Christie Digital, one of the most amazing stories of reinvention from traditional manufacturing to advanced manufacturing that we've seen in recent years. Creating a more diversified local economy by capitalizing on and enhancing our strengths is just one more way we're building a smart and caring city that can withstand and even thrive in difficult economic times. Every day, I'm reminded that Kitchener citizens are the real city builders in the businesses you run, the services you provide, the volunteer hours you give to our community, and the time you take to participate in city decisions. We can't build a smart and caring city without you. Our philosophy is always to make it as easy as possible for you to connect with us, anytime, anywhere. Nor is this more evident in our efforts to provide excellent customer service. Citizens can now get information or report problems to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, via our corporate contact center. They can do the same online with Ping Street, our new mobile app, or through our website. We are listening. That's what smart and caring cities do. We listen and we engage citizens too. Kitchener has a long-standing history of citizen engagement and involvement in city government and public affairs, and we start early with our youth. Through My Ideal City, which gives elementary students a chance to experience an evening in the life of City Council, our annual high school youth forums, and our Kitchener Youth Action Council, we are focused on creating engaged future city builders who understand how municipal government impacts their lives and how they can make change in their city. And I'll tell you, they are engaged. Last night I visited with our kayak group along with one of our DCAOs, and they were just hammering away at us because they want access to a Twitter feed and a Facebook account and so on, and we're trying to find ways of making that happen. And it was really great to see those young people so engaged in wanting to make a difference in our community. We often reach out to all citizens on the issues that are important to our future. In 2014, our focus was on talking to citizens about your priorities for the city through the Your Kitchener, Your Say consultations, led by city staff and Compass Kitchener, a citizens advisory group. Your collective priorities for our community will be front and center when we launch our new City of Kitchener strategic plan later this spring. The Your Kitchener, Your Say campaign and how citizen feedback is incorporated into the strategic plan is near and dear to Ward 10 Councillor Sarah Marsh's heart. She has devoted countless hours to this campaign over the past 8 years as a member of Compass Kitchener. I expect that her passion and expertise will be invaluable as we strive to continue providing meaningful engagement opportunities to citizens in the future. Ward 2 Councillor Dave Schneider's support during the budget process was instrumental in the city's decision to invest in the new e-participation platform, a centralized one-stop shop online where citizens will be able to participate in two-way discussions about issues and initiatives and share ideas and views with council and fellow citizens. When it's up and running, I hope to see you there helping us to build a better Kitchener. It's been said that the measure of a society is how it treats those who need our support the most. I'd like to think that that's the measure of a smart and caring city like Kitchener too. We need to be inclusive where we can, at the same time knowing that while we can't do everything, we can do something. I'm reminded of last year's discussions about our City Hall flagpole policy. I was really pleased that we could agree to revise our policy so that we can be inclusive and fly the flags of all of the diverse and important organizations in our community. I'm reminded of how we collaborated with our community partners to tackle the out of the cold issue earlier this year, when we learned that many long-standing partners were no longer able to provide this valuable program. I was proud that Kitchener took the lead on advocating for community stakeholders to come together to find a short-term solution and work on longer-term solutions. In recent months, Council identified the need to look at affordable housing in more depth as one of their collective priorities of focus for 2015. Ward 9 Councillor Frank Etherington has been a passionate advocate for this issue, calling for Kitchener to work with Waterloo, Cambridge, and the region to collaborate and ensure this remains a high priority issue. As a result of this discussion, in 2015, city staff will review ways of encouraging the development of more affordable housing options to help increase the city's supply of low-income housing. These are all examples of strong local government that keeps the best interests of all of our citizens at heart. This is important in everything we do, particularly at budget time. Kitchener City Council recently approved our 2015 budget, which included a 1.91% tax increase amounting to just under $20 a year on the average tax bill. While there were difficult decisions to be made, we struck a good balance between making key city building investments in key areas identified as priorities by citizens and strengthening our financial position through lowering debt levels and replenishing reserve funds to secure our future. We made substantial investments into the lives of our citizens while maintaining one of the lowest property taxes in Ontario. In fact, Kitchener continues to be one of the most affordable cities in the province, enjoying amongst the lowest combined tax and utility rates of Ontario's largest cities. Sometimes, strong local government must make decisions today intended to build a better future for tomorrow. Without question, our biggest challenge this year was water and sewer rates. Ultimately, we approved a 9.9% increase. That was a very difficult but necessary decision as we, like most other Canadian cities, have reached a critical point. Significant portions of our infrastructure are at the end of their life cycle and need replacement. During the most recent recession, the city subsidized water and sewer rates because we knew people were struggling. In retrospect, we may have overdone that, and now we need to start catching up. With more than 40 years' experience between City Council and as a former City Treasurer and Chief Administrative Officer, Ward 3 Councillor John Gazzola knows that infrastructure is an issue that requires creative, long-term thinking, not just short-term solutions. I hope to count on John's experience over the next year as Council engages in more discussion about how to better plan to fund that infrastructure deficit. When we look at all of the services citizens receive from the city, services they value, what's really astonishing and probably not well known is that for every tax dollar we pay to all orders of government, local governments get only about 8 cents. Yet local governments are responsible for over 60% of our country's overall infrastructure. No wonder we're behind. Expecting municipalities to continue relying on the outdated and regressive property tax system is simply not sustainable. With a federal election looming, 2015 is a pivotal year to put key municipal issues like this front and center on the national stage. Through my work with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, in particular the Big City Mayors Caucus, I will continue to make Kitchener's voice heard every chance I can as we advocate on behalf of all cities about important issues like affordable housing, infrastructure, and public transit. Ladies and gentlemen, bold, proactive, and positive leadership is what is required to build a great city. It's not about counting pennies. It's about making smart and strategic investments into the community that will benefit all of our residents and all of our neighborhoods. It may not yield results overnight, but over time, it adds up to a smart and caring city. We have a truly incredible story to tell about the smart and caring city we're building. But sometimes it seems that we're too busy, or maybe too humble, to celebrate our successes. Today, I'm proposing that we share our city building story in a big way, at least once a year. It's my pleasure to introduce the new Mayor's City Builder Award. This award, which will be presented for the first time in 2016, is an honor created to recognize an individual, group, or organization that has, through their outstanding volunteerism or exemplary action, demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to building a better Kitchener for today and for generations to come. There are plenty of worthy candidates for this award right here in this room this morning, and in neighborhoods and businesses across our community. Let's celebrate those remarkable city builders, because our smart and caring city wouldn't have the same bright future without them. They are humble and innovative people, quietly making great things happen in our city. They are active, engaged, adventuresome, dynamic, and creative volunteers who willingly give of their time and talents, who go the extra mile for a neighbor, and who are unfailingly kind and inspiring. They are people from all walks of life who have adopted the pioneering spirit that is so much a part of Kitchener's fabric and channeled it into the not-for-profits, the arts, sciences, technology, business, medicine, and education. They are city builders. You are city builders. I challenge you to remember this in all that you do. Remember that ordinary people like us can do extraordinary things. That has always been true in Kitchener. Look around. Generations of past city builders have left their extraordinary proof everywhere. Generations who, like us, believe that the smart and caring city we're building for tomorrow begins with what we do today. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.